Hi there, and welcome to episode three. This is actually probably it's my favorite one to talk about. It's the use of technology and performance analysis in relation to practice or training, and how we can really take our training sessions to the next level. Um, so before I get to the use of technology, I'm going to talk about just like GPS, and most of us don't have access to GPS to really to monitor our athletes' loads. So there are other ways of doing it. And we can get into more detail later on this. The first one is RPEs, or rate of perceived exertion, and it's simply just a questionnaire which we have standardized results, and you're able to track your athletes how they felt after those sessions. Then you combine that with like wellness surveys, and these are all things that you don't need anything to do, but they can make a big impact, and they just give you that extra level uh, of detail for your players. I'm more than happy to go into that plus GPS if anyone has any questions at a later date. But we're going to get to technology in training, and for me, I find it strange in that like majority of teams will have the tripod, will have the camera, and they will video their games. And you ask them what kind of technology you use in practice, and generally the answer is none. You don't need a lot. Like we can simply start here. Like if you want instant feedback, everyone has a cell phone these days. And the majority of cell phones have all got pretty good cameras, pretty good video recording capabilities. And it is just as simple as, if you are looking to give specific one-on-one feedback, if someone's doing a like line out throwing or run catch pass execution, you just record them for 10-15 seconds, and then you can show them the results immediately. Um, that's the very simplest way of doing it. It's not very time consuming. Um, if you do want to get more involved, now we're going to go into the different options. So the best example I can use is, if you are, let's say, an individual coach. At some point, we're going to have to split from between backs and forwards, and it is impossible to be in two places at one time. So how do we best utilize technology to help us do that? And the way I have found that's the best is I generally go work with the backs, and the lineout leaders and lineout captains. They have their rundown sheet of what they have to execute that day. But if you just set up your tripod, set up your camera, um, facing perpendicular to the lineout, and just let it run, and they go through their options. And as you can see here, I have some examples of what it looks like. Um, Obviously, you're going to need a video editing software, something like iMovie or Movie Maker or Filmora or Wondershare. Then you're able to clip out the dead time pretty easily. Um, and then when the session is over, you have, if you are just focused on the lineouts, you have about 2 to 2.5 minutes, is generally a 20-minute session of just the lineouts executed. And then all the players are able to go through this real quickly, and they're able to see what worked, what didn't work. They can see the executions. Another great tool, and I have it here. So on your iPads, I'll use this on an iPad. It's a coach delay or video delay technology, and you can see here. Can you kind of see there? Yeah, kind of. So basically, using this video delay software, what you're able to do then is the you're able to have it running live, and you can set it can be a 30-second delay, it can be a 1 minute delay, it can be a 10-second delay. So let's say, for instance, you were doing run catch pass repetitions where everyone was cycling or filtering through. So then you can have the camera set up, you can have your iPad there, the athlete will come up, they will execute, good or bad, doesn't really matter. And then as they come around to you, then they're able to get instant feedback. They're able to scroll back, and you're able to see themselves immediately. And the camera just runs continuously, and then you have your 30-second delay, so everyone's able to get feedback, and there's no one interfering with anyone else. Again, I'll put some links up to some of the apps that I really like for that. It's brilliant software for closed skills. It's really good for scrums as well. Um, and if you do have access to a gym, some way you can take that further is, through the iPad and Apple TV. If you have a modern smart TV, what you're able to do is you're able to connect your Apple TV to your iPad with the delay software. When you're in the gym and you have it connected up from the Apple TV to the video delay software, the players are able to execute on their own, and then they're able to just look up on the television. You just see generally a bigger picture rather than everyone crowded around an iPad. So yeah, you combine Apple TV with the video delay software, and it's a real handy tool to use. I want to get into. We're going to talk about some of the analysis tools that we can use for practice. Now, they can also be used for games and for previews, and we're going to talk in more depth about this next week. This first one is called Coach Paint. I've got just a quick clip about that. It's about $100 a month for the license. So it is a little bit pricier. So my favorite one to use is actually a Clip Draw, and that comes in at $49 for 6 months license, and I'm going to show you some examples of that. So this is Clip Draw, and I have just 2 clips here, and I will show you guys what's possible with the technology. In these clips we're focused on positioning from a blindside snap attack. And I'm just going to use the tools available to highlight the positioning, the distances, the depth, and then where we are looking. So if we start from the beginning of the clip, so here it's a 5-man line out, we come in, we hit midfield, and then what we're trying to do is to come back. So the first instance here is the wing. You can see he's not in the right position. We'll come back to him later. So here we have the distance as an out the back play, and obviously we're not in the right position. Look at the distance from the pass, look what happens. Now the second time we run through it, we can highlight the differences in positionings. Or you see our players are connected, we have the running lines, we have the passing line. So that's roughly what it can look like. Let's start with Benny, okay? We'll walk through some examples here, we'll show you what we can do. So this is what the main interface looks like. You have all your options here. So we have our, let's see, we hit this, we have our highlight option, bang, which obviously we don't want it to be in purple, we'll change that to white, and then it's easy to remove. But what I wanted to add in for him is the vision angle. So if we look to see where he's looking this way. There are options up here. We can make that bigger. So this is roughly where he's looking. You notice the ruck and all the defenders are away. So by putting in this red line, and then what we want him to do is we want him to realign so his positioning is this way. So now we have the vision tracker in. We can save that and see where he's looking. And let's just go across to here, show you another option, another thing what we can do. Let's see, what can we play with? Let's use we can measure the distance, so that should be from there to there. It's 1 meter, so it measures the distance between the 2 players. We still have our running line. We don't quite need that. Again, we can look at this guy, so we can highlight his vision is this way if we want. What else we have? Can we play with? Oh yeah, we can zoom in, we can magnify, or we can crop. Yeah, let's crop. So basically what we can do is we can take this whole section and we can make it much bigger. So then we are looking at, we can move it, here's our magnifier, we can move all the way around. If there's anything we want to zoom in on, we want to zoom in on the halfbacks passing, we can. So it's a handy little tool. So let's just save that. And how you're able to share this is you can, let's say we can click on one picture, we can save it as a JPEG. You can see some options here. It has the highlights, it has the angles, the lines. You're able to make a movie where this 23-second clip, the whole thing would play. Go through it once more, we hit midfield, we come back, and then the different options should cycle through. So that was Benny and our vision, which we did. Then their next option is here, is our passing. And then we come back for the second time when we worked on our positioning, but we're just highlighting here to the players the differences in options, and there we go. And now we have a look at our options. We added in a little vision circle that we had for him, and then we play at the back, and then we attack wide. So that's clip draw, and that's just a very quick demonstration of what's possible with it. And it's really, I find it a really good piece of software to use. The cheapest you can get is like $50 for 6 months, so it's great value. So we talked about using the your game video camera stationary for videoing lineouts, for instance. It's I'm going to talk about more team stuff and more fluid things now. It can be used. What I would like to do, if you have an injured player, if they are lined up perpendicularly, or they are generally under the posts, and if you're doing team stuff, you're able to get the camera to follow the team, and it's really good on seeing running lines and your run catch pass skills. There's a concept called scrape push we like to talk about, but for instance, people, if you're drifting and you catch a pass, you tend to continue drifting. So by having video square on, where we can actually see the running lines that we have, we're able to identify these habits and hopefully try and replace them with better habits going forward. Another great tool to use during practice is a drone. Now, I know drones used to be very expensive. You can get a pretty good second-hand one with the complete package and all the batteries and extra memory and stuff like that, for a reasonable price these days. And then I have just a quick piece on the drones. So we're going to just take a look at drone footage during training right now. I've got two examples, one in the evening and then one in the daytime. This first one here we're about to look at is, I did not have my drone operator. He just sent the drone up to the middle of the pitch with a wide angle capture. You can see here the defensive team's in yellow. We're working on our line speed and launch. It's a bit disjointed, but you're able to see through the drones our positioning, our spacings, and our line speed. It's a reduced attack, obviously. So this is the kind of and we did turn the saturation up, so it is a little bit brighter than it normally would. So now we're just going to compare. We look at it during the daytime. This is with the operator as well, being able to fly and the drone being able to move. It's a 3-phase defensive setup. And again, you're able to track across. You're able to see the line speed. You get to see the angles, and that's just the difference. So we go back to that. And now, yeah, so if you look at the difference in this and just being able to operate the drone and or not, and not, so we're not really able to get much detail around the point of contact and the tackle. We don't see much of the heights, but we can see the movement and the positionings. And these are just two defensive options here. So again, this is like when you do have a drone, and this is what it can look like. Obviously, you're also able to, if you want to look at these, if you're going to do scrum work, you're able to put the drone on top of the scrum. You're able to get a really good look at the engagement angles. It's also very good for attack too. So that's roughly what using a drone in practice or training would look like, and again, I can go into more detail if there are any questions. The different types of drones, how it's best to set it up, etc. So another piece of technology that has become quite popular in recent years is the Gopro. So a lot of your athletes will have GoPros themselves. I like to use it with a head mount, and I use it in two ways. One is the coach. You can actually use it as a coach to develop yourself, because the audio and the microphone is really good, so you're able to pick up everything that you say. So you can assess the range and command of your voice. You can really look at where your comments accurate. Was what you were saying short and concise? Was it effective or ineffective? And then to use it on a player as well, player point of view, as the coach, if you are scanning left and right, you're generally following play on pitch, you get a much closer, view of what's actually going on, because generally the coaches are in and around, within 10 to 15 meters from the point of contact at any one time. So we're able to use it to get some detail around the point of contact, get some detail around the rucks, and then we can also, we can look at some body posture stuff as well. Um, I find though the most effective use of the GoPro is in relation to scanning, and it's more of a self-learning thing where if you have the head-mounted GoPro, you could put it on the player that you want to assess, and let's say you just let it run for 3 or 4 minutes. You don't have to do anything with it, just send it to the player. You can ask a couple of questions around how many times do you scan, where are you looking, did you hear anything, what did you say, and it's just kind of the player will generally be more critical of themselves and be more willing to develop and grow than if you were just giving the feedback straight to them. So to recap, there is the use of video camera on a tripod in a static sense for your set piece. Showed some clips of that. We can look at some of the analysis software. We can look at drones and we can look at GoPros. And again, if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to expand on this.